Hi, I'm Darren. Welcome to Grand Touring Concepts. Today we're at home in the home shop, and behind me you can see my 1984 20th anniversary GT350 and a replacement engine for it. Let's see, how'd I do? Did I get a good engine, or am I gonna have to redo some stuff? Follow me and find out. I know I already know the answer, because I've already been in here. If you've ever found yourself on YouTube wondering, man, did I just jump into the middle of a project build? Where are the other videos? Did I miss those too? Well, this is not one of those cases. This is a GT350, 1984 20th anniversary, and I've had it in the shop for about 2 years. I've gotten some driving out of it. Long story short, we're in the middle of a project. Because what we have is a pretty stockish 5-liter from way back in the day. However, it had some modifications that I've made to it, and now I've got a couple of concerns. Under hood, things are pretty stock, and they look that way because they're supposed to. I took this from a very stock engine with about 100,000 miles on it, original miles, and it needed to have some work done. We had some head gasket leaks, some vacuum leaks, stuff like that, so in the process of fixing them, why not put on some GT40P heads, a Ford Racing intake manifold, a better distributor, some GT40P specific headers, you know, just some light build-up stuff. There's a Holly carb in there as well, just because the old one's a little bit, full of vacuum leaks. So over the course of this vehicle and my ownership, got lots of good miles. It went to the desert, went to Vegas, had a lot of fun with it. But here's the issue. I've got a little bit of noise in my lifters. Went through, redid all the valve train, retightened everything, and we're pretty sure that, we've probably got a cam bearing going out or maybe a failed lifter. One thing we did was cut apart the oil filter, and you can see that there's quite a bit of debris. This is mostly carbon and sand, a little bit of bearing material there. I've taken the worst of it out, but this, combined with the noise, is the reason why I started looking at solutions and opportunities. Now this engine's good. It's a good rebuildable core. It could just be a lifter. It could just be a cam bearing. It could be a bigger deal. We've still got good oil pressure. That's fine, 50, 60 PSI. But here in the back, and I'll roll in some video, and we'll see if you can hear it making its tippy-tappy noises. But if you can't, trust me, it's there. Car runs great, but I don't like cars with valve train noises. I just don't like engines like that because you never know when they're going to let go. So that's where I ended up engaging with Jesse to find this. This is a spare engine, obviously. It is a roller block of some vintage, and part of what we're going to do today is take it apart and see exactly what I got from my Facebook Marketplace purchase. It came as an engine transmission out of a running driving car. Let's roll into some proof of life video. And honestly, paid about 750 Canadian dollars, which I think is probably 400 bucks American right now. So you really have to manage your expectations for what you get when you purchase a used engine with a slightly unknown history. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off and take a look and a walk around this thing now that I've got it all cleaned up. Allow me to sing you the song of my people. Well, it's no jacks down the sidewalk sort of noises, but it's here. Let's take a look at it and see what we've got, because who knows? Well, just like when you assess any other project or any other engine that you don't know about, let's start with what we can see with our eyes and what we can touch with our hands. We've got a older Wyand single plane intake. Let's see, there's part number on it somewhere. There it is. It's a 7515. Distributor's already been pulled out. That was by me, and that's fine. When we go down the block, we see we have a Fox-style gray pan. And then if we get up close, we see the balancer. The balancer carries the old E4TE part number. Interesting. We've got definitely a Fox or a pickup style accessory drive on here. They're both pretty close overall. BBK shorty headers. Got a set of engine mounts. Well, this is an interesting clue in the back. This block has been spray painted. It is black. And Fords of this vintage did not come with paint on them. So that's interesting. This little pressed-in plug right here, that's like one of those rebuilder overheat melt-out tags that they put in. I'll get you a close image on that just to see what it says. But it seems to say Pioneer. So it looks like someone's been in here and rebuilt and overhauled this engine. When I bought it from the seller, it came from a running driving car and was being replaced for a big block. Oh, look at that. Chrome will get you home. Interesting wherever that came from. So what we have is kind of a hodgepodge of parts. And more importantly, I want to know, what do I have in the block? I know it is a roller engine, roller ready though. Currently hosts a flat tap cam because you can tell from the missing bolts. I've kind of been in here for a sneak peek. But what I don't know, of course, is what camshaft is in it and if it's useful to anyone aside from myself, because I'd like to move away from factory flat tapped stuff. For all the reasons that you've heard and all the horror stories on the internet, yeah, I don't want those to happen. So, rollers, that's what I want to have. The other thing too is verifying crank, rods, and pistons, because we're going to take this down to a short block and see what we have. And if everything's good and healthy, it will go over to a machine shop just for a health check. If it needs to be rebearing, honed, rebuilt, great, cool. Rebuildable core, fine. Otherwise, if we have a healthy rotating assembly, it might be a matter of select a cam, take the good bits off of that one, put them onto this one, clean everything up, and back to driving in time for summer. Because from the jack post and the general state of the shop, you might be able to tell it's winter. So it's a good time to do these sort of things. All right, let me get some tools now that we've done the walkthrough, and let's get into this thing. Well, first step, getting the accessory drive off. Let's pull this belt and tension assembly. Just going to pull this apart as major components with the non-contractor grade Ryobi tools. And a chrome socket, of course. Weak. Max boost. That wasn't so painful. Oh yeah, no oil leakage whatsoever. You know, you'd never believe that I pressure washed this thing before I brought it in for this. I'm guessing it's standard E7TE heads under here. You know, common dog, Mustang stuff based on the castings. We're not seeing an awesome set of 3 bars or 4 bars cast in here, so no GT40, no GT40Ps. Just never know what you get when you buy a used engine, right? Still get a Ford tensioner here. That's cool. Well, let's get some extra custom spacers. Don't worry, I took the distributor out earlier, like 6 months ago. It's fine. Nipex. Trust in Nipex. Especially if you don't want to reuse the hose again. Yeah, we won't be reusing that. Success. Yeah. Some of that could have been me. Anyway, no sense reusing coolant hoses. Just asking for trouble when they're that bad. Right, now we have access. Elegance. Now that we got that stuff out of the way, and have uncovered eternally more grime, let's pull these may suddenly die spark plug wires off. May suddenly remove themselves spark plug wires. There we go. I know, plug wires are plug wires. These aren't that bad. It's just fun to say, may suddenly die. Some runtime on it, that's for sure. Well, let's pull the intake off so you guys can see that. When I bought this thing, I really, really wanted a roller block. Like, flat tapped blocks are fine, but I wanted a roller for no hassles going forward. And things were a little bit imprecise on the seller's knowledge of what he actually had here. So when I pulled the distributor out and I seen that there is not the roller style drive gear, that made me a little bit worried. So I was pretty quick to take this off and I fastened it back up with about 4 of these bolts. This Y-end intake is kind of neat. I don't know if I'll keep it or rehome it. Okay, so obviously this has been unsealed before by me. It was all pretty nicely sealed. It took a couple of whacks with the mallet to get it apart, but and away we go. There we have it. Okay, bringing it in for a closer look, and we can see that this is absolutely currently not configured as a roller block because there's no retainers. Throw away the old love gloves so I can keep the camera equipment clean. So we've got ourselves a triple Y casting block. Triple X is pretty common, you know, especially Mustang service, things like that. But triple Y is generally later manufacture or truck block, which that's completely okay. The main thing that is important for me is these bosses. These bosses exist, which means, and they're also drilled and tapped and ready to go to accept a roller lifter retainer, or a spider as we call it, which go between here. There's the retainers called dog bones in just common parlance. So this block will accept a roller cam and roller lifters, which is good to go by me. So as configured, this thing was definitely a flat tappet, and like I said, was overhauled by somebody, and I'm kind of curious to see what they put in. Another clue that this is not Mustang service is this sensor in the back. This was not used in Mustang. You'd find this just in the back. So we'll probably end up plugging that off, or maybe running a separate gauge to it, but I don't know. Not too concerned from there. Let's take a little bit of a look at the valve train and get those off. Take a look at the bottom, see the rods and the crank. Very interested to see what we've got for pistons. Something cool or just sandcast junk? Hard to say. These Edelbrock thin valve covers were all the rage in the early 2000s, but I'm kind of tired of them myself. Yeah, I guess this is what happens when you use the wrong fasteners in the wrong corners. Well, there's oil in it, that's for sure. Alrighty. What do we got? We have factory rockers. We have very shiny retainers. That one doesn't fit very nicely, but it seems to be okay. But they are definitely nothing special. So we've got a number of 4 J's and Juliet, 2, 3 on the back. We'll decode that a little later once we get to the decoding book. We see Cleveland Foundry Casting on there, Ford Motor Company. So yeah, they're factory heads. That's roughly what we expected. And then we'll maybe take a look at pulling the head off, because I know I said we'd look at the bottom end, but I'm really curious to see what's under here. I've been waiting for like months. Well, I've been ignoring this project for literally months, said differently. Let me clear some stuff out of the way and we'll jump back in. Okay, something I did is I got the header out of the way, and it's in pretty good condition, but none of the bolts were particularly tight. Not leaking, but not particularly tight. I thought you might like to see the spark plugs out of this bank as they come out. So, carbureted engine, I don't see any problems with them. They're NGKRs. They were tight as hell, but not too bad out of number 1. There we go. And we'll get that guy up there. No damage, no real worries. It's interesting there's a little bit of carbon out of this one, but, you know, around here, I don't think that the plug was leaking so much as I bet you the headers were leaking. Because, yeah, porcelain's all nice and tight. That one's very clean. Very clean. You know, we're not looking at these with a jeweler's loop. Nearly sent that one to the concrete, but again, you know, all things considered, carbureted engine, daily driver, a little bit of a street machine it came out of. I don't see any massive problems. Anyway, that's nice. I think it's important to take a moment to look at order of operations. Properly, you would take apart all of your valve train and you would set it aside so every one of your combinations of rocker and your pedestal trunnion, push rods, and lifter all stay together. And I'll probably do that as far as the lifters go. But I don't intend to reuse these heads. I might reuse these rockers if they're a little bit nicer, but we'll see. But the main thing I'm going to do is employ violence. That's how we're going to get the cylinder head off. We're going to take out all the bolts, separate it from the deck, and lift it away. All the lifters are going to stay in their bores. All the push rods are going to look like pixie sticks, but these are still going to end up homed. So one of the tricks to doing this is make sure that you don't take everything all the way out. You leave a couple as retention, otherwise you end up with 44 pounds of cast iron on your toes. So let's see how this goes. And also, there could be coolant. Looks like I get a brake torque by hand. We'll be right back. There we go. Hopefully this is better. Hello? Well, that's weird. There's like no sealant on those. All right, let's just thread that in a little bit so when I pop this off, it doesn't land on my toes. You guys got the best seat in the house. Well, that's pretty good. What do you think we're going to find? Good stuff, bad stuff? I'm figuring cast rebuilder junk. And that was the sound of 100 bent push rods. Well, the main thing I'm interested in is they're all installed in the correct direction. That's always nice. I'm curious to read some numbers off of them once I clean some carbon and figure out whether these are rebuilder specials, whether they're 30 over, which would be okay so long as everything's in good condition. Let's get down off the pedestal. We do have some markings, so I'm going to get some cleaner and clean these up. Then we'll get in a little bit closer and see what's going on overall. But so far, so good. It's not blown up, at least not yet. Welcome. Here's what we've got. We've got a 030 marking. So that looks like a set of 30 over slugs, and they're all kind of marked in the same haphazard way. These things have a tremendous amount of carbon though. Like this took a little bit of cup wheeling. This is just by hand. It's bad. Reminds me of my days as a light machine gunner actually. Cleaning carbon out of the gas plug. Hell. But if we get really close up, there we go. So initially I was wondering if this was detonation, but it seems to be even and it's all just everywhere. So this just looks like casting. Same thing over here. I cleaned up a couple of these valve reliefs to look at them closely. And looks like they're probably just cast jobber aluminum pistons. Not bad. Awful lot of carbon in the engine though. So what I'm going to do is get the other side disassembled. Maybe get the front side off, and then we can take a look at the cam and make our way down to the sump area. But in the meantime, it's all old iron heads and pickup sticks. So I'll catch you back after this. Time for a little update. As you can see, we have 2 cylinder heads on the floor. Intakes off, timing covers off, balancers over there in the pile of shame, and we've got some more stuff on the storage table. In the front, this is kind of interesting because we can see that we've got the eccentric here for a mechanical fuel pump, but the timing cover, located here, doesn't have a provision for a mechanical fuel pump. So that's kind of interesting. Whoever rebuilt this kind of put her back together to be whatever you needed it to be. Notably, single roller timing set. I don't know if that's too much timing slop. Probably more than I would like, so kind of curious how much wear and tear we've got on this engine, how much mileage since it's rebuilt. 1-piece oil pan gasket, that's kind of a nice feature. Yeah, everything was kind of locked together pretty good despite all the amount of grease and oil and goo. They did their best bet to seal everything up. Of course, you might be curious about the pistons, as was I. They're all about the same and still feature a high level of carbon. Despite it all. I haven't withdrawn the lifters yet, and any debris in here is from me doing work. It's actually remarkably clean on the top side, not a lot of sludge. Quite a bit of carbon. And I guess, you know, you can't make sludge if you're just pushing it out of the block from, well, wherever. Good, the timing cover bolts did not snap off, which is usually customary. And we've only got a little bit of goop around the cooling passages, so it seems like it's a fairly, well, good builder block. I guess it could throw back in and run, and kind of curious to get our camshaft out, see if it's got a part number on it, if it's something exciting. You know, as everyone says, oh, it's got a cam in it. Well, of course it does. It needs it to run. But is it a good cam? My guess is it's probably a jobber rebuild. So nothing fancy, or maybe a ubiquitous tow RV cam or something like that, if we can strip a number off of it. Anytime you see pliers in the lifter valley, you know it's a good thing, or not a good thing. Remember how I said trust in Nipex? Yep. These ones were sticky. A little bit of light mushrooming. You'll notice that oh yeah, I'm acting like I care. Just you wait until you see. Welcome to the bench. Here, in the foreground, we have the driver's side row. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 cylinders, all in their mating pairs. You'll notice that some of these are in a various bit of disarray. The old magnet trick, pull, didn't work. Some of these must be lightly mushroomed. But, on the bottom, they look okay. Using the old Mark 1 eyeball, everything's fine. However, no, it's like the old shell game. Everything seems fine. Wait a minute. Whoa, look at this. Yeah. This was eating a cam, or eating a lifter, depending on your perspective. So suffice to say, whatever cam was in there is no longer salvageable. And this lifter, it's on its way to being a shot glass. Good times. So anyway, these are all going in the trash. And I think I know I've got an engine build ahead of me. Rebuildable core, that's all I was after. Who wants to see the cam? I do. Due amount of care and attention. All right, problem child, let's see. Somewhere up here. Let's just take a look at the lift of our various cam lobes. Do you see it yet? Yeah, this one here, done its last. Let's see if we can get a profile down there. Yeah. It's a custom grind now, that's for sure. Well, this thing is junk too. Oh, it did carry part number. Part number of D50Z Alpha and some weird double striking marks there. G10 or something? I don't know. We'll see if that internets to anything. But right now it internets to scrap iron. Now it's time to get to the point where we've been through the top side. Let's take a look at the bottom side. Conveniently, all of the bolts are removed. So, shake that off. Pin inside's got some material, but generally pretty okay clean. But considering what we've seen in the camshaft, I don't really think that counts for much. Okay, do the old wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. A little bit of thrust here or there. Caps are all tight. So it looks like a Ford production block. Bottom half of the rod caps read a Delta 10 Echo Alpha Alpha part number, which is pretty ubiquitous. Oh yeah, that's fun. There's some overstamping everywhere. So let's get a little bit of a closer look. So we see we've got our D10 Echo Alpha Alpha. We've got an interesting skirt on the bottom of our piston here. That's kind of neat. Don't really recognize what those are. If anyone does, please in the comments. Cap casting. Okay, down in there, way down in there, we've got a part number. 2MAE. Okay, interesting. We'll check that out in the parts lookup. Let's take a look at our casting. We see an E7TE CA, a big S, 34. We've got some junkyard paint marker marks. We've got a casting of 8 Juliet 15. Yeah, everything looks in place. The timing gear gave me just a little bit of a hard time coming off, but that could be the timing gear, or it could be a bent crack. Hard to say. Pickup tube. Yep, there's a little bit of gasket material in there, you know, RTV, but it is a Ford pickup too. That's interesting. And looks like a standard volume, standard Ford pump. Nothing too exciting to see here. Given the condition of the camshaft, that means all that cam material went somewhere. So I would wager it might have gone through our bearings. A little bit of thrust, but again, not too excessive by hand anyway. So this is going to go off to the machine shop, and we're going to see what the professional opinion is. But I definitely won't be doing a low buck dingle ball and clean it up and slap new rings and bearings in it. We'll go through it for the entire thing because, hey, the cart's going in. Nice car, something I really enjoy. So let's do it right. All right, so with all that behind us, literally behind me anyway, how do you think we made out? I know I've got a lot of work ahead. I was looking to buy a good roller core, hopefully salvage a crank, rods, maybe pistons. I know once I go to the machine shop, we're going to figure out what this actually means, whether it's just a salvage block, maybe it's complete junk. Maybe I can save the rotating assembly, refresh, redo. I don't know. Going to depend on what the builder says, but I know I want to do this once. I want to do it correctly. And I want to get back to enjoying this car that I love road tripping and driving around. So hopefully you'll join me with the iterative videos on this and other things on Grand Touring Concepts. But thanks for watching all the way through, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye now.